So my first time training, I I was a little nervous, of course, but turned out to be an amazing experience. And um, it sounds like there's a huge spectrum of like training experiences. Like it's either um, I guess for me, I often felt like I was like training someone who already knew what he was doing, so that made it really nice. But yeah, it seemed like I had the greatest companion. I had the best ward to be in. It just seemed like everything was great. I was in the city. This just really nice area. I really enjoyed it. I was biking. It was just really great. Um, I for some reason um, with all of that, it seemed to be the least successful time on a mission, and that's going to be inevitable. You're going to have every missionary has those times where it just seems like they're doing everything they can, and nothing seems to be going their way. So it just felt like we were working so hard. I just remember feeling um, uh, bad for this missionary trying to like, I don't know what's going on. We're doing what we can to help things work. Um, and you often just wonder, you just question like, what do I need to do? And you just seem to be really confused. And that just really was a tricky time in my mission, despite being everything just seemed to be so great. And so I realized the neat thing is that I still realized I was happy. There were times where I was with missionaries, we'd be in the area, and it seemed like we actually had quite a few baptisms, but we weren't fully doing our best to do what's right. And even though things may be going okay, you're just not happy. You're only happy when you're doing what's right. And that, I guess what I learned is, it turned out that time on mission became the time I was most grateful for, because that's when I learned that I don't need to have success to be happy and to do what's right. I just need to, I just need to do what's right. And if you do, you're happy, and that's what matters. It doesn't matter if everything's going well. It matters if you're just striving to do God's will. So that just changed my life. It was really, really amazing looking back at that. When it comes to the mission, the greatest thing you find is the personal growth. Like you learn so much, and that's really when wherever you're at in the gospel, that's when you really take a huge step even further. And I remember before mission, I was strong in the church. I was still this guy who did dumb things and messed up and needed to learn a lot. But I did my best to do things with the gospel as best I could. But it wasn't until the mission when I really gained a conviction of the truth. I always had those nudges growing up, just like, I'm pretty sure this is right. But the mission was really when I found that conviction, and it's neat. It's wonderful looking back and thinking of those moments where that happened. It usually was when I was bearing my testimony, or when I was teaching someone, or during personal study. It seemed to be those times when the Holy Ghost was able to get to me finally, even though I was just so stubborn. So it's amazing to think about the many different ways that God was able to reveal things to me, and it's amazing how to see how he perfectly knows everyone, and he's able to answer them and provide the needed guidance exactly the way they need every time. It's amazing. I remember one time that sticks out is I was in a lesson, and it was this neat family. It was a part member family. We were teaching the dad mostly, but all of them we were trying to help strengthen their desire to keep doing what's right. And so I was in a threesome. Each of us kind of said our words of encouragement. And I remember feeling like there was this one thing I really needed to say. And looking back, I realized that what I needed to say was more for me than it was for them. Actually, kind of funny. They actually, later, when they talked to us, they thanked one of my companions for what they said. And didn't really mention anything about anything else that was said. And so it kind of stuck out to me oh, that totally was for me, the thoughts that came to my mind. And I just remember telling them, trying to think, I just remember telling them that, hey, times are going to get tough. And when they do, it's almost as if God is saying, will you follow me? Will you do what's right, even if it's tough, even if it's totally inconvenient, even if everything else everything's not going your way? And it really is almost as if God's saying, will you follow me? And when you keep pressing forward, when you keep doing your best, that's like you saying, yes, I will follow forever. And I just, that attitude, that mentality has changed my life. Thinking, well, I'd say I'm knocking doors, I'd be out about, just everyone saying no. It'd be this tough experience, and God's like, will you follow me, Greg? Will you? And as I keep going, it'd be me. I'd be like, oh, I need to keep going because I want to say, yes, I will. I will follow. And so I think many of the things we teach and share and help people learn is actually so that we can learn that first. And then when we change and follow and learn that, that's when we're able to help others do the same. So that was just a really neat lesson. Well, it was my last transfer. It's always weird being like, whoa. The mission's almost over. For me, it was really, really helpful. I just already had committed to doing my best to keep working hard the rest of the mission. So we were working harder than ever that last transfer, and that was one of the most wonderful transfers of my life, or of the mission. So, but I remember being the transfer, the day came where we were supposed to, it was transfer meeting. We were about to head home, and I remember I was sitting in the hall, and I was talking to this missionary, and I didn't know him super well. From what I kind of knew, I kind of got the little vibe that he's a little newer in the mission, and he didn't seem to be super focused, and that was unfortunate. But I just remember he asked well, do you have any advice? And I almost, at first I felt bad that I said this because but then looking back I was like, oh, saying this was more for me than for him. It really was. So I told him, well, if you ever have those times where if you ever have that attitude where you're thinking, well, I can't wait till this is over, get rid of that attitude. Don't even have it. have the attitude to make the most of now. And that attitude, I've been home about a year. Whenever I'm in having a tough time, or I have a job that's totally boring, or tons of school, or just whatever it is, I automatically, part of me that first is like, oh, like it'd be nice when this is over, and it's so neat to be able to be like, oh, I have that attitude, get rid of that. I'm going to make the most of now. And really, the mission, it's if it's tough, well, that's expected, and all you need to do is just say, hey, what do I need to learn now? What does God want me to learn now? And then it's almost exciting to be like, oh, I have an opportunity to learn. Like, this is my opportunity to build faith. And yeah, it's just that experience is just really helped me make my attitude like even better. So the mission, you learn so much. It's great. It's perfect for like everybody who goes. You learn exactly what you need. So on the mission, you'll meet so many people. There's so many people on the mission. That just tons of variety. And for me, there were some people I still don't know what's gonna come of it. You just never know. There was this one lady in particular in one of my areas. We we run into her, and she seems like she's ready to hear the message. Turns out, she just had all these things she wanted help with, so that made it a little tricky. But I remember, yeah, basically, her two kids were in this total crazy situation, not really a good place to live, always moving from one place to another. We're trying to help her out, and I just remember being like, wow, like, I have no idea how to help her out. But we did our best. I mean, we helped her move when she got evicted. That was unfortunate, and I was like, and that was a crazy move too. Everything's like all over the place, and yeah, moving people is sometimes nuts, but it's exciting too. Sometimes you'll see tons of cockroaches. It's crazy, but I guess it's just funny. I was like, well, she's moved now. Like, that's it. Okay. And then for some reason, I moved to this other area. I was kind of more in a country area, and then I moved to this area in Jacksonville. And from what I knew, I thought she moved to Texas. Okay, I think she did move out somewhere out there. But I'm out with my companion 6 months later, and we get to this trailer park, and this lady comes up to us. She's like, "Hey, there's this lady with two kids. They're like this, and can you help me out?" And I'm like, "Is her name so and so?" And the lady's like, "Yeah." I was like, first of all, that was just crazy to me. Like, I was so blown away. I had no idea. And we go over there, and knock on her door, and she sees me, and she's blown away too, of course. Like, where did you come from? I was like, I'm wondering the same thing. Like, this is great. Turns out, seems kind of pretty ready to hear the message. We do our best. We help her get to church again. But again, it's one of those stressful, we're trying to help her out as much as we can, but we can't, and we're like, oh, this is crazy. And then turns out we help her move again. And it's been 2 years since then. I haven't seen her. But for some reason, she came into my mission twice, and I had to learn something, and I had to help someone out. So it's funny how that works.